The notes that pulsed in a generation's heart, the soundtrack to millions of memories, the very voice of youth, all of it in one swift stroke sold off. For $300 million. And the owner didn't get a single dime. This was nothing short of a heist. But what makes this story truly remarkable is not merely the monetary loss. It is how the world's biggest pop star, Taylor Swift, transformed this betrayal into a multi-dimensional business strategy that would redefine artist ownership forever. This is more than a comeback. This is an artistic coup d'état, a high-stakes masterclass in narrative control, fan mobilization, and economic ingenuity. Swift has proven that when talent meets strategy, heartbreak can become a blueprint for financial and cultural supremacy. This is the epic saga of the re-recording war, a chilling 7-year battle over her very own legacy. Swift's journey demonstrates that in the music business, the artist who owns the art truly owns the throne. This isn't just about money. It is a war for influence, narrative authority, and the moral right to control one's own story. Every note, every lyric, every performance became a calculated move on a chessboard that spans legal courts, digital streaming platforms, and global fan communities. Taylor Swift did not simply react to betrayal. She architected a counter-strategy that would shift the entire music industry. The value of a whisper Taylor Swift. She is more than a global superstar. She is a seismic economic and cultural force. The story of the re-recording war transcends stadiums packed with cheering fans and chart-topping hits. At its core lies the master recordings, the most essential yet often overlooked asset in the music industry. These recordings are not just sounds. They are the lifeblood of an artist's legacy, the very manifestation of creative labor turned into currency. Owning them means controlling how, when, and where the music circulates, from movie soundtracks to advertising campaigns. Each sync license can generate immense sums, and historically, this control rested with record labels, rather than the artists themselves. Before the conflict erupted, Taylor Swift was legally denied ownership of her first 6 albums, a concession she made as a teenager signing a standard industry contract. That decision, made in the innocence of youth, became the catalyst for a career-defining struggle. Her early agreements gave Big Machine Records the economic rights over these masters, a decision that, years later, would ignite a firestorm of corporate confrontation. The narrative of Swift's whisper, her voice, her artistry, her influence, was under corporate control, and she would stop at nothing to reclaim it. The music industry's secret formula, why masters matter. To fully grasp the stakes, one must understand the structure of the music business. Every song generates 2 separate copyrights, the publishing rights, representing the melody and lyrics, and the master recording, the actual recorded performance. While publishing rights generate royalties for performances and streaming, the master recording is the golden goose, controlling licensing and synchronization fees. Without it, even the biggest artist becomes dependent on intermediaries to monetize their art fully. Taylor Swift's first 6 albums, her creative foundation and global launchpad, were owned by Big Machine Records. This meant that every commercial use, every license, every stream of the original recordings enriched someone else, not the artist who created them. For Swift, this was not merely an economic issue, it was a moral and artistic one. How could a creator not control her own narrative? How could she allow her most intimate and defining work to be monetized by others? This is the philosophical and financial battlefield where the re-recording war was waged. The betrayal, the Scooter Braun acquisition, the crisis reached its apex in 2019. Taylor Swift, who had long expressed the desire to buy her masters from Big Machine Records, watched as the label was sold to Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings for $300 million. Braun, a figure Swift described as a longtime bully and professional adversary, now controlled the very music that defined her adolescence and professional rise. This act was a profound personal and professional betrayal, a public spectacle that painted Swift as powerless in the eyes of many. Yet Swift transformed that narrative of victimhood into a battle plan of unprecedented scale. Her response was both deeply personal and strategically brilliant. She publicly voiced her frustration, explaining the ethical and artistic implications of the sale, thereby turning public opinion into an ally. By framing the issue as one of artist rights and creative integrity, she mobilized a global audience and ignited discussions about the fairness of the music industry's contractual norms. The betrayal became a clarion call for change. demonstrating that personal grievance, when leveraged strategically, can evolve into a universal narrative of empowerment. The counterattack. The Taylor's version, strategy Taylor Swift's audacious plan, involved re-recording her first 6 albums, a legally permissible action after a contractual waiting period. This strategy, however, was more than a legal workaround. It was a cultural, economic, and narrative masterstroke. Each Taylor's version album became a statement of autonomy, a tangible assertion that the artist could reclaim her own voice and rewrite her story. Beyond legalities, Swift transformed this process into a fan-driven movement. By appealing to her audience to exclusively stream and purchase the re-recorded albums, she activated one of the most loyal fan bases in modern history. The Swifties responded in droves, ensuring that Taylor's version releases not only eclipsed the originals in sales and streams, but also solidified the cultural legitimacy of the project. Every stream became a vote for artist rights, every purchase a statement against corporate overreach. Swift's legal maneuver thus became simultaneously a commercial triumph and a moral victory. The financial dominance of the new masters. The economic implications of Taylor's version are staggering. Each stream, download, and license of the re-recorded albums flows directly to Swift, bypassing previous owners entirely. By creating superior, culturally sanctioned replacements, Swift systematically devalued the original masters, leaving their corporate owners with diminished economic leverage. The re-recordings themselves, enhanced with From the Vault tracks, provided fresh incentives for fans while reinforcing the artist's control over her creative legacy. Taylor Swift's financial strategy also set a new precedent for the music industry. Young artists entering the business can now envision a pathway to ownership and autonomy previously obscured by decades of label dominance. Swift demonstrated that intellectual property, when strategically reclaimed, becomes the most potent form of wealth an artist can command. The narrative control and cultural impact Taylor Swift's wore was never just about money. It was about story, identity, and influence. By adding previously unreleased tracks and recontextualizing her earlier work, she reshaped public perception and reclaimed authority over her personal and artistic narrative. The Vault tracks enriched her albums with additional emotional and lyrical depth, transforming nostalgia into empowerment. Swift became not only a musical icon but also a cultural and moral exemplar, advocating for artist rights and inspiring global discussions about creative ownership. Moreover, the re-recordings amplified her societal impact. Beyond commercial success, Swift's campaigns mobilized her fan base for political and social causes, demonstrating that cultural influence can intersect with civic engagement. By leveraging her popularity for tangible impact, Swift transformed fandom into a force capable of shaping public discourse, proving that artistry and activism can coexist seamlessly. The new architect of artist power, the saga of Taylor Swift and her masters, represents a blueprint for artist empowerment in the 21st century. She redefined what it means to be a creator in an age dominated by corporate interests, showing that strategic thinking, legal acumen, and fan loyalty can eclipse traditional power structures. By reclaiming her music, mobilizing her audience, and controlling her narrative, Swift has become both a cultural and economic architect, illustrating the modern equation of artistic dominance: creativity plus strategy equals sovereignty. Her battle is a guidepost for all creators, entrepreneurs, and innovators. It teaches that ownership is more than property. It is power, identity, and agency. Taylor Swift's unwavering commitment to control her art, combined with her ability to inspire collective action, proves that true authority belongs to those who own their story. In a world where media, money, and influence are increasingly intertwined, Swift has demonstrated the ultimate lesson: mastery over one's own creative output is mastery over one's destiny. Every note she reclaims, every album she re-records, and every fan she mobilizes strengthens a legacy that will endure for generations. The re-recording war is not simply a chapter in music history. It is a manifesto on courage, resilience, and the unassailable power of reclaiming what is rightfully yours. But the true genius of Taylor Swift's strategy lies not only in reclaiming her past, but in setting a precedent for the future, a paradigm shift that empowers every artist to recognize the intrinsic value of their intellectual property. This is more than a financial maneuver. It is an assertion of creative sovereignty, a declaration that the work of an artist cannot and should not be commodified without their consent. By turning a deeply personal betrayal into a global movement, Swift illuminated the hidden mechanisms of the music industry and revealed a blueprint for resistance against systemic exploitation. She has proven that artistry, when combined with strategic insight, can generate both immense cultural resonance and tangible economic power, transforming a generational grievance into a universal lesson about agency, equity, and ownership. Taylor's version is not merely a collection of albums. It is a cultural monument, a living testament to the notion that creators have the right to shape, curate, and monetize their legacies on their own terms. Every note re-recorded is a reclaiming of authority. Every lyric reinterpreted with the wisdom of hindsight is a reassertion of narrative control. This meticulous attention to both artistic detail and strategic timing demonstrates an extraordinary understanding of the interplay between commerce, culture, and storytelling. By engaging her fans as active participants in the process, Swift converted passive listeners into invested allies, turning her audience into co-authors of her ongoing saga. The result is a symbiotic relationship in which the success of her projects is inextricably tied to the loyalty and dedication of her supporters, amplifying her power far beyond conventional metrics of fame or revenue. Moreover, the ripple effects of her approach extend beyond the realm of music. Swift's battle exemplifies how creators in any industry can challenge entrenched power structures and assert agency over their intellectual contributions. It underscores the importance of foresight, legal literacy, and community mobilization, demonstrating that resilience in the face of systemic obstacles can yield outcomes that are simultaneously profitable, principled, and profoundly influential. By publicizing her struggle and framing it as a moral and artistic cause, Yuzkorv glitters inspired dialogue about fairness, ethics, and the rights of creators, transforming a personal struggle into a collective awakening that resonates across industries and borders. Ultimately, Swift's re-recording War is a masterclass in turning adversity into opportunity. It shows that setbacks, betrayals, and structural limitations need not define a creator's trajectory. Rather, they can catalyze the construction of new paradigms where control, integrity, and vision converge to produce unprecedented cultural and economic outcomes. Her meticulous orchestration of narrative, legal strategy, and fan engagement demonstrates that true power in the modern era does not reside solely in wealth or traditional authority, but in the capacity to mobilize ideas, influence communities, and safeguard the story that one owns. Swift's legacy, therefore, is not only a collection of albums or chart records, it is a blueprint for empowerment, an enduring lesson that mastery over one's own work is inseparable from mastery over one's destiny. As future generations of creators look to her example, the message is clear. The greatest victories come not from yielding to circumstances, but from shaping them, reclaiming them, and boldly declaring that the narrative, financial, artistic, and cultural, belongs first and foremost to its originator.